Good morning, boys and girls. Now, this morning we're going to talk about fractions. I'm going to introduce ourselves to this new concept. So what is a fraction? Well, a fraction is an equal part of a whole thing. Now, what am I talking about? Let's see. So, everybody loves pizza, don't they? Well, I haven't got a pizza here, but I've got a wrap. So it's the shape of a pizza, isn't it? It's round. Now, if you were to share this pizza, let's pretend it's a pizza, if you were to share it with your brother or your friend, you would be very keen to get the same amount as your friend, so you'd want an equal share. So let's split it into two equal parts. So I'm going to go up the middle and chop it up like this, which you'd normally do with a pizza cutter, and we get two equal parts, okay? Half for me and half for you. So this is a half and this is a half. They are equal in size, and together the two halves make a whole one, okay? So that's when we're talking about a pizza. So let's do it again with a bit of paper. Here is a circle. Imagine it's a pizza. It's a whole pizza, and if we were to cut it into two equal parts, we would chop it. Now, if it's paper, it's easy to make it very, very even by bending it first. And you could practice this with paper yourself. Cutting up with my scissors, and now I have two halves. See that? A whole pizza, two equal halves, both the same size. And it's really important with fractions, girls and boys, that the parts that make the whole one are the same size. Now, this half here is one part, isn't it? And this half here is another part of this whole pizza. So this half is one part out of how many? 1, 2. So this is one part out of 2. This is also one part out of the 2. And that's how we draw or recognise the term half. 1 out of 2. 1 over 2, a half. So if you see that, it represents a half of something. So there we go. Now I'm going to move on to bread. So here I have a piece of bread. Yummy. Could have toast with that, but I'm not. So imagine I want to split that into two equal parts. So I'm actually going to turn it this way, and I'm going to cut the bread up the middle with my scissors into two equal parts. So we can call these halves because they are equal in size, and there are two of them making a whole one. Again, look, 1 out of 2, 1 out of 2, 1 out of 2, one piece out of 2, making a whole one. Yeah? So we could actually take that further. If I put those there as halves, we can actually say 1 half, because that's what that represents, plus another half equals a whole one. Okay? Now, that bread, I'll just move this paper out of the way. So there's my bread into two equal parts, two halves. Got another bit of bread here. I wonder, can I cut it into halves a different way? What about across this way? Again, we have two halves. I could have this, you could have that. We're both getting the same amount of bread or toast. When we put them together, it makes a whole one, but each part is a half because there are two equal parts, okay? And again, I can bring back my, bring this sheet here and say there's a half and there's a half, and together they make a whole one. I wonder, is there one more way I can think of easily? I'm going to get some more bread out here. Here's another piece of bread. My dogs are going to be so pleased, girls and boys, after this, because I'm going to let them eat the bread. Now, I could chop it this way. Okay, being very careful. Producing, look, if I flip that over, it's the same, isn't it? Two halves again. 1 out of 2 parts. 1 out of 2 parts. Again, this is another half. 1 out of 2 parts. 1 out of 2 parts. Making the whole one. So there are 3 ways of making a half. All right, so we should be now very familiar with a half. today's work, this sheet here, I'm going to put it on so you can see, is it half? Now this side says yes, you put them here, they show a real half, which is an equal size to the other half of the shape, and this is where you put anything that's not. So you look at the bottom here, and here are lots of shapes. So you need to look at the shading of the dark area and say, is that half of the whole shape? Now look at that one. You've got a white part and a darker grey part. Are they the same area? Yes. So that is a half of this whole shape. So that shape, as you cut it out, would go here. Now, without doing the whole work for you, I'm not going to say much more, but I'm going to point out, say, look at this one here. Is that grey area, half of this whole star shape? Imagine that was a big star cake and you were given this grey area and I got the rest of it. Would that be equal? Are they two equal parts? Are they halves? No, of course they're not. So this shape would go there. So you do that with all of those, okay? Then when you come to this sheet, this one here, I've started it actually. Draw a line to cut the shapes into two equal parts. Colour one half of each shape. So you're going to show halves. So this is a square. So what I did, you can cut it any way you want, but I got a ruler and I popped it along like that and I drew a line and then I coloured in half, leaving half white and half purple. I could have done that, couldn't I? Down the middle, coloured this half and not this. Could have done it that way. Okay, but I chose that one. I want you to take a ruler and halve the shape. Okay, be very careful with some of them. For example, look at this one. If I cut it down the middle there, are those the same area? No. So you're going to have to think carefully where you put your ruler on them. So really check before you put them into place where you feel a half is, that the two parts are equal in size. There's another one I've done. Look, the heart there. Couldn't do that, look, because that would be a different size to this. But if you do that, you get two equal sizes. So they are genuine halves of a one whole heart shape. So that's what you do with that one. On the back, colour half the shape. Now here we have a square. So let's just take this one. This square, I can see straight away, actually, girls and boys, that that's half. If I put that there, that's half and that's half. Look. It's actually been split up into further sections, but that doesn't matter. Just colour what you feel is half the shape. So I would be colouring in all of this. Now, I want you to take more time than me, as I was saying in class. You know, I'm doing this for demonstration purposes. Oh my goodness, there we go. So, that's me colouring half the shape. Do you agree? Would you be happy if it was a cake or a pizza? Would you be happy with either piece? That's what you have to say to yourself. If so, then they are genuine halves. Look at this one. You'd have to cut that some way and colour half. So you'd be colouring, what, two of these, wouldn't you? So that would be half, this cut side, and then there's the other half. What about this one? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 parts. Well, do you know what? 8. What's half of 8? 4. So if you coloured 4 of those squares, that would be half the shape, wouldn't it? I could colour those 4, or I could colour those 4. So think about that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So what's half of 12? 6, yeah, so you'd be colouring 6 of these. Okay, so you could put your ruler down there and colour all those. You could put your ruler there and colour those, and maybe something else. So I want you to investigate and have a good look at that, because we're doing quite a bit of fractions through the week and a few next week. So we'll get lots and lots of practice at this. So good luck, and I look forward to seeing your finished sheet, which is this one. Okay.